thank you everyone for coming on out today. Braving the cold. It's not raining, it's not snowing, so much like Darkness Day weekend, we seem to be blessed with good weather. Where's my mom? She's here somewhere. I think she always likes to say we're pretty lucky at SURLY, so the weather holding out, I guess, is in that same vein. So a couple things I wanted to say before we introduce some of the folks that have helped make this happen today. And we're here today because of an idea that started almost 10 years ago, an idea to bring a brewery to Minnesota whose sole goal was to brew great beer and hopefully meet payroll someday. Head brewer Todd Haug and I hoped if we met those goals, everything else would work itself out. We had no idea at the time what we'd started, and I think there's a number of people that have blamed us from all of what we started back then 10 years ago, or 7 years ago. So first off, I had to convince my wife, Becca, and my parents that opening a brewery would be a great idea, which thank goodness they were excited to be part of. And after rehabbing my parents' old factory while welcoming some newborn twins into the world, we sold our first keg in 2006. Shortly after we opened, Todd and I were surprised at how much the Twin Cities embraced our beer. We started our first expansion less than a year after we sold our first keg and haven't stopped growing since that time. So for years, people on tours would ask me if we're planning on building a bigger facility, which seemed pretty ridiculous at the time because we had a lot of room in that brewery. So usually we'd stand around and there'd be 10,000 open square feet. And I'm like, well, there's lots of room for us to grow right now. But as the years went on, it became clear we're going to max out the building that we're in. So it was a huge change from when we started since it was such a large space. And when Beck and I would talk about the future, of what the end game was going to be, I thought maybe someday we'd be able to fill up that building with brewing equipment and take a paycheck home and make it all work. Everything that's happened at SURLY over these years and the growth and why we're here today is all happened with the support of the community, the support of our fans. It's always a shock to think that all of this has happened sort of organically on its own. There was no master plan of building a giant brewery, of trying to grow as big as we have, but it's all happened because people have loved our beer so much. So even though the demand exceeded production nearly from the start, the idea of building another brewery, a bigger brewery, didn't really appeal to me and Todd. It just seemed to mean bigger problems. But then employee number 4, MVP Jim Mott and myself, went off to Prague to play in the Ultimate Frisbee World Championships in 2010. And after losing in the finals and messing up my knee, I headed back to Brooklyn Center to fill out on Jim's delivery route while he stayed and traveled around Europe with Russ Adams, who's here today too. And I think they drank a lot of beer, was really what they did. But they went to the Stiegel Brewery in Salzburg. And when Jim came back, he gave me a brochure from that brewery, and that brewery had a fantastic beer hall, a beer garden, a restaurant, an event center. And I looked at that brochure sitting in the office, and I said to Todd Haug, I said, think what we could do if we could just sell someone a pint of beer. And that's really where the idea came from in that summer of 2010. But for a production brewery, a restaurant, a beer hall, a beer garden, none of that was legal in Minnesota, so it was obvious what we needed to do, and it was not move to Wisconsin. So we knew we'd have to change the law so we could build a brewery that folks would travel from around the world to visit. And we did that with the help of the late State Senator Linda Scheid, Representative Jennifer Loon, and craft beer and small business supporters around the state were able to change that Prohibition-era law. So many thanks to Governor Dayton and the Minnesota legislature for supporting that change. So mission accomplished, right? Building the brewery would be no problem. Well, as usual, the SURLY way is not the easy way. Envisioning a brewery that was a destination location made finding our new home a pretty long process. Our team reviewed over 80 sites across the city, and the one we ended up choosing was not an easy one to work with. The environmental challenges here on site were enormous. And as one banker said, you looked at 80 sites and this is the best one you found? So the vision for our plan wasn't clear to everyone, but the people we teamed up with on this site have shared our clear vision. A vision for building, a vision for transit, and a vision for our cities. And we did not end up using that banker. So thanks to our friends at U.S. Bank for sharing that vision of this brewery with us. Making this site took a tremendous amount of work and help from our environmental engineering firm, Bar Engineering, and the MPCA, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. They worked tirelessly together to find a way to make this work, which, as I've learned along the way, is quite a process. So we came up with a remediation solution with funding help from DEED, Hennepin County, and Met Council. Tom Housechild, our owner's representative, said early in the process, if we can clean this site up, we've really found a diamond in the rough. So looking around today, you could certainly say that that's what we've done. It is more rough than diamond, but we think what it's going to end up is certainly more like a diamond. I wanted to thank the state of Minnesota for its cleanup grant through the Department of Employment and Economic Development, as well as Hennepin County for its grant through the Environmental Response Fund. They've also granted us loans from the EPA Brownfield Cleanup Revolving Loan Fund and the Transit-Oriented Development Program. Hennepin County has also assisted us with the initial environmental testing through its Brownfield Gap Financing Program. Met Council was also instrumental in their grant through the Metropolitan Livable Communities Fund Program. In addition to those public funding sources, there are a few others in the public sector I'd like to thank. The City of Minneapolis staff, particularly CPED and Ann Calvert. Ann has guided us. Where's Ann at? Ann's been great to work with. She's guided us through this labyrinth of a process, helping us with site selection, funding options, grant options, review process approval, SAC phase development plan. So a whole lot of things, and she's been with us the whole time. Also, the whole team at Public Works and Planning has been fantastic to work with. Rebecca Farrar, which I don't think is here today, I'm glad she held off delivering her baby. As long as she did, she may disagree, probably disagrees with us on that point, but was a wonderful person to work with throughout the process. And also the city, thanks to the City of St. Paul for its assistance, all the Minneapolis City Council for their support, Barb Johnson, Gary Schiff, Cam Gordon, thank you all for your help in making this project work. So these speeches can go kind of long. I feel like we're at the Oscars and me sort of droning on, but it's amazing how many people it's taken to build this brewery. And we're just at the groundbreaking. It's not done yet, but I never would have guessed it was going to take this long, this much work, these many people to make all this happen. And everyone that's been involved, we couldn't. Everyone has been integral in getting this thing done. It's only been 3 years, but it really feels like a life's work. So HGA, our architecture firm, is here and have been great to work with. Stephen Dwyer has led a great team that got us to today's groundbreaking, with a lot of starts and stops. But here we are. We think they've designed a pretty fantastic brewery that we're all looking forward to drinking a beer at next year. And the passion he's had throughout the process has certainly helped me stay focused on this destination. And a huge thanks to Tim Nagel and the whole McGough team. It really does take a community to build a brewery. So there are some other people that I'd like to introduce today and say thanks to them. And Mike Opat is the first person. Where is he? Yeah, there's Mike. He's the first person sort of in the public realm I spoke with about this idea. I know Mike and I shared a beer at Travail and talked about some ideas, and I got to know him because a few years earlier he'd stopped by the brewery on a Saturday with his kids. He was driving around and looking for beer, and he gave me a card and said, "Hey, if you ever need any help, give me a call." So.
I gotta watch doing that from now on. The SURLY way is not the easy way. I certainly learned that. Well, this is a little bittersweet for me. It's certainly a sweet day, but it's a little bittersweet because I feel like my kids are 12, 10, and 9, but I feel like I'm sending one off to college right now because SURLY begins in Brooklyn Center and now it's growing up and moving out to Minneapolis, but staying home. There's always a place for you to do your laundry, Omar, in Brooklyn Center. So the signs, the SURLY signs you saw on the way in, they're all over my neighborhood. It's literally about three big golf shots from my door to SURLY Fest days, however many festivals there are over there. and we're certainly thrilled you're going to stay in the neighborhood. But this really is a testimony to fortitude for Omar. Because when we first had that meeting and he just defined the plan and kept going, the arms were moving, everything's getting louder and travail, and I'm thinking, this guy's got some big ideas. And then when he said he wants to go change the law, and Judy Cook's here, and I said, there's no way you're going to change that law after doing a little bit of research. But he certainly did, and this is an exciting day, and I'm looking forward to hoisting that first beer, Omar. Congratulations to you and your entire team. I wish I had one of their coats, though.
Yeah. Next, Peter McLaughlin is Commissioner of Hennepin County. His commitment to transit is a central reason we're here today at this site. Transit accessibility was one of the main reasons we thought this site would work, and sir, come on up.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
And the names, what about the names? You know, furious, abrasive, hell, darkness. I mean, those are all good. But I mean, it's like a Harry Potter episode or something. But that's all good. That's what we're celebrating here today. And this is all going to be right on this central corner light rail line. That's going to be here. It's going to be opening up next midsummer, late spring. Let's call it late spring. I'm not allowed to say late spring. It's going to happen. And so this is all part of creating the new community here. We have this local economy that's bursting here with these kinds of investments. We've got transit to support it. We're cleaning up the dirty dirt. There's always dirty dirt when you dig in these old sites, but that's what we're celebrating here, the vision and the fortitude and the ability to work together. And there's a great beer at the end of the line. So thank you all very much.
Adam Duddick is here with Met Council, and they have played a huge role in this project. They've supported this project wholly, and certainly not possible without their support.
Thanks, everybody. As the appointed person on the stage here, I promised to keep this brief. I'm Adam Duddick with the Met Council, and we're a real honor to be a part of this project. What the Met Council has really been focused on in the last 2.5 years is connecting economic development opportunities, tax-based revitalization, transit, and really coming at this, coming to a project like this that has that multimodal perspective, and working with the stakeholders to make the project a reality. I also just want to say that I've been to a number of these groundbreakings over the last couple of years, and these projects don't come together without partnerships. And so working with the city, working with the community, the developer, the county, of course, play a critical role. We're really honored to be a part of that team and help provide the funding for a project like this. That's what tax-based revitalization is all about. That's what livable community is all about. And we're going to continue to do that with our transit-oriented development program, which we look forward to moving forward in the future. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and in support of this project. Congratulations on the big accomplishment.
Next up, Kevin McGinnon, Director of Business and Community Development. He represents DEED, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. Their lead on the grant financing on site remediation has been the driving force to make this whole project work.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you to your team. Great job here. Really look forward to what's gonna happen on this site. Really, congratulations to all of you, and thank you for having us here today. We're thrilled to be part of this. Our programs play obviously a big role in businesses and communities, and this is a prime example of how we are participating in a project with a number of great partners here to make this work. Our contaminated grant cleanup program and our redevelopment programs have put a lot of money into this area in the last number of years, and you can see how it's transformed these properties from the uses that have existed here for well over 100 years. So we are again thrilled to be part of this. And again, I can't stress enough the public-private partnerships that make this happen. It's critical to induce great projects like this. And again, congratulations to you, Omar, and your team. And I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce and mention Meredith Udoyevach and her team at our redevelopment office at the state. Again, we're thrilled to be here, and thank you and congratulations.
So, Dick Gilliard's with the Prospect Park Neighborhood Association, lives here in the neighborhood, and back at the time when I was looking around at what site it was going to be, and it was coming down to this site being one of the front runners. It seemed to be a great location for a number of reasons, but still at that end point, you're always never quite sure. And right around that time, it was coming to the end there. I got a letter from Prospect Park saying, "Come on to the neighborhood. Would be a great place. We'd love to have your brewery." And I think Dick was the guy that sent that letter. So, Mr. Gilliard, we're here.
Thank you. We're delighted that you're here, and just on behalf of Prospect Park East River Road Improvement Association, God, that's a long title. We want to express our appreciation for your selection of this site and how excited we are by this day. We did contact Tegra as soon as we heard about Omar's intention to build a new brewery, and they came and they looked. And they said, interesting, but we'll look around. And they said, and we were looking for a bigger site. We were thinking maybe 20 acres. And we said, do you want to be in Blaine or do you want to be in the city? Prospect Park has been planning for the north side redevelopment of the north side of University Avenue ever since we determined that light rail would be coming down the avenue. Our vision for this area includes 2,000 new units of housing along 4th Street, a new textile center in partnership with the University Museum of Goldstein Museum. We see 1 million square feet on John Wall's property, a research park, technology transfer businesses, and we see well over several 100,000 square feet of commercial, retail, and specialty shops along the avenue. So we were so excited when Omar decided that this is the location. It looked pretty dim there for a while when you're looking at those 80 sites, but as the great philosopher Yogi Berra says, sometimes when they say it can't happen, it doesn't always turn out that way. We can't say enough. We're delighted that Omar's vision is much more than just making and selling beer. We admire and really were in love with the idea that he saw this as a destination. And we think this project is really the inspiration for all the other development that we see coming. We hired a world-class design team in HGA, designed a stunning brewery and a magnificent beer garden that we know is going to be a magnet destination for the entire community and the region. Lastly, thanks again to Omar, to the city of Minneapolis, to Hennepin County, Met Council, and everybody else that made this happen. And there's just one more thing, Omar. When I look at the architecture of these grain elevators and the architecture of the tower, water tower, it's a lot like the profile of a beer can. And I see a great graphic for a specialty brew of Prospect Park.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm glad we were able to get the groundbreaking before you left office. It's getting cold. It's getting nothing but colder. But thank you for your enthusiasm on this project. It's been evident from day one, and all your trips out to SURLY Fest and Darkness Day over the year. But your support of Minneapolis breweries and the food scene has been fantastic.
Great, thank you. I'll make it real quick, but I just want to say that at 7:30 this morning I tweeted, "Is it too early to have a Furious to celebrate the groundbreaking?" No, right? Let me ask that again. Was it too early to have a Furious? No. All right, good. I'm glad you're awake. Actually, I felt more like, remember the Coneheads used to drink a 6-pack at once? I could have had a great SURLY 4-pack all at once. I'm so incredibly excited about it. Omar and the SURLY team are opening a brewery, but I think one of the great things about it is that they've done it right. They've treated employees well, they got the brand right, and they've made just a kick-ass beer, and a lot of it. And Omar has been a real inspiration to us. I also want to give a shout out to Omar's parents, immigrants who came here, who Omar truly has the mother from hell. Okay, and only you in SURLY land, you know that's a compliment, right? Because she said to Omar, all this hoppy beer makes something I can drink, and that's where hell came from, right? Do I see your mother's green cans down here? No. I don't know what this is about, but that's a whole other story. But in any case,
the Ansaris think about your story and how incredibly inspirational it is here in a neighborhood that really had so many immigrants part of it, and the great excellence that you've done. You raised a great kid, but you also in yourselves have done a remarkable, remarkable thing. So thank you. Thank you to all of our partners, the county, the Met Council, the state. All of them, and Calvert and all of our team have done a great, great job. Dick and the neighborhood. But more than anything else, I want to thank SURLY Nation. It was very difficult in those days when people said we had to change the law. And it was very, very, Judy, you know this. It was very unlikely. Mike's prediction was right. But you didn't take no for an answer. And by the way, we're facing the same issue with spirits right now. And I hope I can count on all of you to be the same lobbying force. Will you? Because we've got to make sure that we do this. This is a phenomenal thing that's been done. It's just a lot of fun. So let's have a great toast, and more than anything else, make this transit-oriented destination brewery a great destination for years and years to come. Thank you, everybody.
All right, a few additional thanks. Hopefully, they won't shut the music off, turn the music on me. But the Tegra team, Tom Housechild, Paul Kerber, those guys, the team's been fantastic to work with. When I started this, I didn't know what an owner's rep was. As I found out the process went along, as I like to say, they get shit done. So those guys, we couldn't have done it without them. Judy Cook and Sarah Strong-Belisle are here today. They are the folks that helped get the SURLY bill passed. It was a roller coaster throughout the whole process, so this is where I always point out, all lobbyists are not bad. We've got a lot of people out here today working on this project. That's some great product placement back there for Carl Bolander and Sons. So, Bolander, AET, Hun Electric, MMC, are all partners in building this brewery, so thanks to them for all the help they put into this. Clint Roberts and his team at One Simple Plan. Lee, Dave, and Andrea, they're the folks that help us look as good as we can. Folks, well, there's no beer yet. You're one of the whole. But Clint, I would have thought this all started with a casual conversation and dinner at Bar La Grasse. I kept saying, well, let's not try and do everything first. Let's just get the law changed. And here we are a few years later, actually finally building this thing. So thanks for being someone I could, these last 3 years, always talk to and try and figure out how to get this thing done. Michael Berglund, for all of his continued creativity over the years, has been a huge inspiration. All the guys at U.S. Bank, Blair Madsen, Kirby Law, Phil Trier, thank you for believing in this project and believing in SURLY. Mary Bretman, where are you at, Mary? Thank you for all the endless hours you spent working on this project. Wouldn't be here without you. John Armour and Winthrop and Weinstein, where's your team at? Here somewhere, John. Yes, I'm thanking my lawyer. But going through this process, it is, I've learned a lot. I learned there's a lot of things I don't know or have any idea what I'm doing. So it's been great to work so closely with a great firm, but also someone that's a great friend. It's made the whole process a lot easier, a lot more fun. SURLY Nation, I see a lot of faces of folks, people that have been out and helped us for years, not just to build a new brewery, but because they love the beer, because they love the beer community. Without you guys and gals, we wouldn't have gotten the law changed. We wouldn't be here today. So thank you all for the support over the years. Prospect Park community, I know there are a few more individuals here than just Dick. But they've been great welcoming us into the neighborhood, so we're excited to have this brewery up and running so we can all have our next informational meeting at the brewery as opposed to some other spot. The last few folks here are, you can't really describe how much they've helped out, but my wife Becca and our kids. I think anyone, I grew up in the family business, and you realize it's called a family business for a reason because the whole family's in it. Calvin's great at pouring beer on tours. Becca, everyone's always like, oh, man, who writes all your copy? It's really good. I'm like, well, I usually write it, and then Becca makes it good. So, but there's a lot more to it than just touching up copy and such. And it's been, I would definitely say it's been probably the most difficult year to get this brewery going. So we certainly couldn't have done it without their support this whole time. So thank you, honey. All the SURLY Brewing employees that are out here, everyone, it's been fantastic to be able to focus on trying to get this thing built, and knowing you guys are all kicking ass, making great beer, and doing a great job of doing it. So thank you for continuing to keep the brewery running, because it's not always an easy task. Todd and Linda Haug. I see Linda. Where's Todd at? There he is. Happy birthday, Todd. Todd was really one of the first people to believe. He built SURLY Brewing. Literally, he welded stainless steel. He sweated a lot of copper together, and we built the brewery together. And there's no way I would have taken on this challenge of building a new, bigger brewery without his help every step of the way. And Todd and Linda have really been a huge part in designing the brewery. They've spent a lot more time working with the architects on how that brewery is going to lay out, how that restaurant's going to work. And I know Todd said to me early on when we built the first SURLY Brewing, he said, challenges for brewers, they always complain about, this brewery's not laid out right, it's not done this way right. And he said, now that he had to build a brewery in Brooklyn Center, he didn't have anyone else to blame. Well, now he got to build one from the ground up. So they have been fantastic, and we could not have done what we've done without you two. It just simply wouldn't have even been a consideration to do it without working with you two to build this brewery and restaurant together. So thank you. Lastly, my mom and dad, they've been a huge, Nick and Nassim and Dorit, they've been a huge inspiration for me. They, like I said, started working in a family business, so that's kind of all I know. So it's been great growing up, seeing them kind of come to America, live out their dream of running a business and starting something out, and gracious that they allowed me to try and live out my dream and get a brewery going, and who knew that it sort of would have turned into all this. I don't think any of us ever did. So, yeah, you want to come on up here? Oh, you got a little something.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Omar, for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. It was 50 years ago I started my career, and I was inspired by the owner of that business I worked for to have my own business. 3 years later, I came to Minnesota to follow my dream of having a business. We established a business and grew with it. That business prospered, and in 1978, we had to expand and build our own property to call our own business, expanding and being a headquarter in that building. It's 35 years ago, we we did a groundbreaking for our business in Brooklyn Center. It gives me great pleasure today to hand this golden shovel, which we used to build that building, today. Omar, I wish you to use this shovel symbolically to break the ground here, to build your dream, and I wish you a lot of success. Not the least is my partner in crime, without whose help I would have never made it.
There's four.
Folks, I'd like to have you, I'd like to indulge you in wishing Omar a few words. May the road rise up to meet you, the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your field. And may the good Lord hold you in the palm of your hand always. Amen.
Well, I think it's time for a toast.
Let's do a big cheers together. Just a big cheers.